Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the Back Office Teardown Lab. This is an ECU off an
Alfa Romeo V6.
Alfa Romeo V6 and apparently it's suffering from a problem which is common to them to do with the capacitor in this board. Is it just delaminating itself, unsoldering itself?
They're attached to the engine so that they heat cycle with the engine, so basically it seems to just work its way off.
So something you might not be able to see is that these boards are basically as if you've got an integrated circuit with no lid on. You have all of these silicon ICs, integrated circuits, and they're held together with little tiny bits of gold bonding wire everywhere. And then the whole thing is flooded with silicone. I think it's still a bit, you can see it's just squidgy. It's like, it never hardens. It's like the slime that kids play with. So the idea is we need to get this component here. Oh my gosh, it's loose. It's totally loose. It's just coming off. And we have to be super careful because you don't want it to hit any of the gold bonding wires that it's riding up against. So I'm going to pull it outwards, see if we can just get it out of the way. And if you've got a microscope, it might be useful to use one of those to do this. I'll show you some footage from under the microscope that I took a moment ago. There we go, we've extracted that. Now if you're super unlucky and disturb it enough, you might just disturb those gold wires and then it's game over. So that's the component removed totally, and I'll just get that cleaned up. There we go. I'll give it to my assistant there. And on this bit of paper here, I'm just going to draw, it was this way.
You know, you've got the polarity
in the circuit. Yeah, that's the polarity of it. So again, I can't really, you can zoom in a tiny bit more. I've got the soldering iron on, and I'm going to just see if I can just ever so gently get into that PCB. Just give it a little scrape just to make sure we can try to solder to it. We can. And I'm going to take my leaded solder. Feel it's, we need all the help we can. And just see if I can just touch a bit onto there. And it's acting like a huge heat sink, so it might need some work before it bites. So you can see it's just starting to deposit a tiny amount on there, and that might be all we need to just get a bit of kynar. So in this section where I am, there's none of those gold bonding wires. I'm going to have to be a lot more careful on the other pad. Just right here. Okay, I'm just going to touch a tiny amount of flux on there, see if we can get it a bit more convincing. Okay, so we have the solder there too. Right, so that's now got the blobs of solder on it, and I have cut a bit of kynar because I'm going to relocate this capacitor away from where it was. So I don't want to interfere with any of these gold things trying to put heat down for it, and I don't think I can get to it on the PCB anyway. So there's one, and that's the second one. So remember which way round it went. Which was that way. And I'm going to tin the bottom of the capacitor legs. There's one there, there's one there. So if you needed to, you could potentially replace this capacitor with a different value, or a better one. Cut those a little bit long. It's fine, just bend them out of the way like that. And that should work alright as a fix. So nothing left to do but test it. But you can see here there's nothing on that jelly, so I'm just going to smush it down a tiny bit there. And I think it should stay put.
Looks like it's just ejected.
It's fine.
Okay, so we're going to try replacing this repaired ECU, see if it's fixed the problem. So first of all, we have to put the ECU onto the mount the correct way up, which would be the label at the top. It'll need at least a couple of these on there to ground it. And we need to attach the plugs. For one. It's two. Okay, so that's now attached. I'm going to put the ground onto the battery. See if it goes. Okay, so before the throttle would flutter, it wouldn't start, and the engine light would stay on. Engine light's solid now. Okay, we'll have to clear the engine light because there'll be codes from the issue, but it now runs acceleration. Now working. So looks like the repairs worked.